I'm Jeff Hunt. He's Deep Singh Badesha. And it's Festivus for the rest of us, Mr. Adam. Good morning, Deep. Glad to have you with us, man.
Good morning. It is early, but I'm excited to be here.
Hey, you got a child at home, so you barely see. This is like a fog. Many of us that got kids older, like these, it's weird. These years just kind of disappear into your life. You're like, I don't really remember what was happening during that time because you're just trying to hang on. But congratulations to you.
Thank
Baby
you.
Girl.
She's 12 weeks old now. So
you're right in the thick of it, man.
Yeah. So we're coming up on 3 months, which is exciting.
Great.
She's been sleeping through the night though, so now we can
Lucky.
put her down. She sleeps for like anywhere from like 8 to 12 hours.
Yeah.
So it's been amazing. But everyone warns me about the 4-month regression. So they're like, don't get too used to it. She's going to surprise you any second. But it's been amazing. I mean, it's an absolute blessing.
Yeah.
I'm feeling very fortunate just to spend this time with my wife and the baby.
It's awesome. You're a great dad. Deep Singh Badesha, Democrats, Socialists of America, joining us live in studio. Billy's taking a much needed time away this week and next. He'll be back into the new year. So don't worry, Billy will be back. We're going to talk with George Brockler here in just a second about this new decision that came from the Supreme Court. Not going to want to miss that conversation. Then Trump boats. We got some Trump boats out in the Navy, golden boats, a golden fleet is what I think he called it. We'll get to that in the 7 o'clock hour. Jeanette Visguera. Oh, I went down to her little protest on Monday nights outside the Aurora Ice facility. Got to see her family and all that stuff. But she's out on bond. Fascinating story. This is a lady that ran into a little church during Trump's first term, then got picked up outside Target, has been put into an ICE detention facility, and now will be released on bond. What does that all mean? And then Lily Tang Williams. You remember her? She was in Colorado for many years, ran the Libertarian Party here. She is now in New Hampshire, and she will be live in studio with us. So I've got a Libertarian, a Socialist, and a Conservative, and then George Brockler all on the show today. It's going to be a ton of fun. Plus, it's Festivus.
Welcome, newcomers. The tradition of Festivus begins with the airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now, you're going to hear about it.
I want to hear your grievances this morning. It is technically Festivus today, December 23rd. Festivus. Give us a call, 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. Now is time for the news.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Hey, good Tuesday morning, 37 and mostly cloudy in Denver. Expecting a high of 64 today. Going to be another nice day. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story, as expected, DIA is going to be packed again today. 2 days from Christmas, travelers coming in and people headed out.
TSA expects today to be one of the busiest days at the airports. The day starting out with flight cancellations and delays at LaGuardia, where this guy's at.
Every time we fly here, I have to wait a lot more time than I expect. We have no idea what we can expect in these airports.
Meanwhile, roads are busy as well, with some drivers in the Hudson Valley and northern New Jersey dealing with a small snowstorm as they pack their bags for a getaway. AAA says more than 122 million people expected to travel during this holiday period. That's a record high. Scott Pringle, NBC News Radio, New York.
And the CDC says 5 states, including Colorado, are experiencing very high flu activity. The others are New York, New Jersey, Rhode Island, and Louisiana. In New York City alone, in early December, there was a 460% increase from the same time last year with the flu.
A lot of people are very angry that this continues. A lot of Republicans are angry because of the fact that it's just used to deflect against a tremendous success.
Overnight, the DOJ made more than 11,000 Epstein files available in its latest release, including court records, emails, videos, and news clippings. DJT says the U.S. will build new battleships named after himself. 47 says the Trump class battleships will be the most lethal battleships in the world. And the president said there will be 2 ships built first, followed by another 8, and eventually 25 new battleships. And the administration is telling dozens of senior diplomats to resign. More than 24 career diplomats were informed they must leave their roles by January 15th or 16th. Those affected by the recall report being notified by phone that they were being removed from their posts abruptly and with no explanation provided. How about we can't afford you anymore? How's about that? DJT says it was Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry's idea to serve as special envoy to Greenland. 47 said the Republican governor called him with the suggestion. The president said Landry told him Greenland should become a United States territory for national security purposes. Broncos back on the practice field today as they prep for Thursday's game at Kansas City on Christmas. The Jazz at the Nuggets last night.
Jazz have missed all 8 shots. Murray, heat check. Oh, the Nuggets are cooking.
135-112. Chris Marlowe there. Jamal Murray, 27 points. Nikola Jokic, another triple-double. 14 points, 13 rebounds, 13 assists. The Nuggets have won 7 of 8. And at the Mavs tonight, Old Man Rivers back on the field last night, 277 yards passing, 2 touchdowns.
To get some action tonight. 3rd down and goal. To the end zone. Touchdown again, Alec Pierce.
So Rivers, pretty nice night, but the Niners win big, 48-27. Brock Purdy threw for 295 yards, 5 TDs. Christian McCaffrey had 146 yards. Total offense, caught 2 touchdowns. 32 in Boulder, 35 in Englewood, 37 in Denver. You're waking up with Jeff and Bill. In for Billy is deep, and you ought to see his jacket. I mean, one of the greatest Christmas jackets I've ever seen.
Great.
Oh, my goodness. I'm jealous of his beard, too, man.
I know.
Deep has got the deepest beard.
Restoration for beards.
Yep. He should be a conservative. We're gonna get him there eventually.
Babies help that way. You know?
Absolutely.
They get you a little more conservative in life.
Exactly. Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thanks, Blake.
Yeah, you bet, man. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Your KNUS forecast for the Denver metro area calls for cool temperatures early this Tuesday morning. Temperatures, though, well above average for this time of the year, and we'll be looking at unseasonably warm wintertime conditions leading up to and through Christmas Day with some record warmth, the possibility today, on and tomorrow, and Christmas Day. We'll see highs near 70 degrees. We'll have some mid and high level cloudiness, but it'll be dry. Winds will be breezy, and overnight lows only near 40 degrees. I'm meteorologist Mark Huer in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Billy out today, this week entirely. He's taking a much-needed vacation, but he'll be back. Don't worry about it. By the way, today is Festivus.
Festivus is your heritage. It's part of who you are.
That's why I hate it.
If you don't know what we're talking about, it's a Seinfeld episode where they bring out a pole instead of a tree. Basically, George Costanza gets tired of fighting over dolls and all this stuff for Christmas, so he comes up with Festivus, where we're going to air our grievances, which is perfect for talk radio because it's pretty much what we do every single day.
Every day is Festivus.
Yeah, especially if you're conservative in Colorado. We have no power. All we can do is air our grievances. So feel free to give us a call at 303-696-1971 and air your grievances today. Let's go to Iggy in Erie. Good morning, Iggy. You're on with Jeff and Deep.
Well, how appropriate, because I've been advocating for this for years, and you have not been giving me credit for keeping Festivus alive. That's my first.
You're the one. I love it.
That's my first grievance. My second grievance is your song. It is destructive. It gets in my head. I want to bang my head against the wall. It's evil.
Waking Up with Jeff and Bill. I love it. Yep, that song, I get it. It gets into my head, too. And, in fact, my kids hear it and walk around the house going, Waking Up with Jeff and Bill.
Well, I think that's enough for right now, so we'll let somebody else.
Iggy, I sure appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Yep.
Happy Festivus.
All right. Feel free to give us a call by going to 303-696-1971 or texting us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. Deep, why don't you introduce yourself to our listeners real quick? Give us a sense of who you are, where you come from, what you do, and why you're so committed to government solving all of our problems.
I'm going to have to clear that up. I definitely don't want government to solve all our problems. I want the working class to have enough autonomy to do it. Hello. Thank you for tuning in to Jeff and Deep this morning. Bill is on vacation. My name is Deep Singh Badesha. I grew up here in Colorado. Grew up in Colorado Springs. Moved there when I was a baby. Parents are immigrants from Punjab, India, by way of California and New York. So I grew up here. I actually had a little bit of a libertarian and Republican streak growing up, and eventually found myself more Democratic and going towards the more left progressive side. I'm a member of the Democratic Socialists of America and been very active in politics for the last decade or so. I work as a political activist, worked inside the building as a staffer and as a lobbyist, and I'm excited to be here to air our grievances for some of our shared, complaints about the Democratic Party, namely what I would say is the Hickenlooper-Michael Bennet wing.
This is going to be fascinating, bro. Today we are both going to be airing our grievances with those dorks.
Michael Bennet and John Hickenlooper have been basically running the Colorado Democratic Party for like 20-plus years. And I think it's time to vote these guys out.
I agree entirely with you.
We have our chance to do it.
But I don't want what your replacement is.
I think it's actually better for you Republicans. Yeah. And for
better
us,
for nobody.
To get these Republican light folks outside the Democratic Party might give you all a more fighting chance eventually down the road.
Yeah, we'll see about that. Well, give us a call. This is going to be a lot of fun. Deep Singh Badesha live in studio. Today's Festivus, and you're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show. News Talk 710 KNUS.
welcome newcomers. The tradition of Festivus begins with the airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now, you're going to hear about it.
I got problems. I got problems with the Supreme Court, saying municipal courts can't issue harsher penalties than state courts for the same offenses. If the city of Arvada wants to implement the death penalty for petty crime, by all means, they should. It would be better for the people of Arvada. But the Supreme Court stepping in. Joining us to provide some analysis is District Attorney of the 23rd Judicial District, George Brockler. Good morning, George. You're on with Jeff and Deep Singh Badesha.
Hey, Jeff. Hey, Deep. How are you guys?
Glad to have you on. I am airing my grievances, though, on this. Why can't cities make tougher penalties? What's so wrong with that?
Can I make just two quick observations? One, at one point earlier in the show, you described having on the show, I think it was, we have a progressive, we have a socialist, we have a conservative, and George Brockler. And I'm like, Jesus, where do I fit in that whole thing? And then the other one was that song, that Waking Up with Jeff and Bill, and a lot of people don't know this. If you can play it backwards, it says Donald Trump is hot, which is weird. If you just... Really awkward. The Supreme Court decision was disappointing, but it was unanimous. And as folks may know, we have 7 members of a Supreme Court, all of whom were appointed by Democrat governors, one of whom had to sit this one out. Justice Hart is dealing with some health issues that's going to cause her to leave the bench as of January. So a 6-0 vote. And it kind of covers the spectrum there of people with different backgrounds. Some are into water, some of them are criminal, all that kind of thing. And they all agreed that the state has an interest in seeing that there are uniform penalties across the state of Colorado for similar offenses. I disagree with that, and I think they did a good job in the opinion of touching upon the cases that they really had to navigate around. I was going to say torture, but that's too strong. They had to navigate around some cases to get to the conclusion, basically, that a municipality cannot have a sentence harsher than the state, but they could have one that is lighter. And of course, I'm looking at Denver and Boulder for those. But you couldn't do one that is more harsh. And some of that is tied back to the fact that in 2021, the state went through this Misdemeanor Reform Act, which was sort of fakely named because it wasn't just misdemeanors it touched upon. And they said that was proof that the state of Colorado has some interest in this. Now, here's the crazy part. This is the frustrating part. Nowhere in the legislative history, the discussion of this bill or anything, did anyone ever say, we intend to usurp municipal authority. We intend to change statutes that are on the book about municipal authority. But what the Supreme Court said is there are 3 things that would cause the state to preempt a municipal law. One is if there was an express intent to do so, there was none here. If there was an implied intent to do so, there was none here. But they said if by operation it conflicts and frustrates with the state efforts, then that's grounds for preemption. And that's what they ended up deciding, is they just sort of interpreted it in there.
That's George Brockler, District Attorney for Judicial District 23. George, I go back to when you got elected and you do this press conference and you come out with this map of roads driving around Douglas County and the 23rd Judicial District, Elbert and parts of Arapahoe. And I go, yes, love it. Criminals, stay away from our communities. And I talked to Darren Weekly, said 80% of the people in his jail don't even live in Douglas County. So you get this beautiful little part of Colorado that's going to take crime seriously and prosecute people. And then I feel like the Supreme Court comes in and is like, well, we're going to let the libs down at the state capitol who are super weak on crime tell everybody else what to do. I understand that this isn't going to stop you from prosecuting people, but I mean, is this going to essentially force on the rest of Colorado this weak on crime lib perspective?
Yes. Yes, from this point forward, anytime the state weighs in on specifically non-felony charges, because those are the only ones municipalities could possibly regulate alongside the state. Anytime the state does that moving forward, there's going to have to be a consideration of the impact that it has on municipal authority, despite the fact that our case law and our statutes up to this point had said, no, especially home rule municipalities are protected from this, and now they're not, even if you're home rule. Interestingly, though, Jeff, part of the opinion for this statewide application relies on the exact statistic you brought up about Sheriff Weekly, and that is the fact that 80% of the people are outside the jurisdiction. So Westminster was one of the cities that filed a lawsuit here to say, no, this is crazy. And they said, this is a matter of local concern. Like, this is theft from our businesses that pay our business taxes that affect our community. And the Supreme Court ultimately said, yeah, except the defendant here is someone who doesn't live in Westminster. And there was a companion case out of Aurora, and that person didn't live in Aurora. They were from Littleton. So in essence, the state says because people are traveling outside of certain cities to go to other cities to commit crimes, this is now a matter of statewide concern in terms of having these regulated, universal sort of ceilings on the penalties. I mean, I disagree with that, but these Supreme Court justices are all a lot smarter than I am. What it won't change how judges impose those sentences. So even though there's a cap on M2 theft, misdemeanor second-class theft, and that's theft of $1,000 or less, which is crazy, even though there's a cap of 120 days, my guess is Denver doesn't ever give out a 120-day sentence. They give out coloring books, hugs, and syringes and sends you back out onto the street. But in our jurisdiction, you are going to get jail. With some limited exceptions, you are going to get jail. And so even though the universal cap there is there, how it gets applied is different.
That's George Brockler, Judicial District 23. We're talking a Colorado Supreme Court decision that came down yesterday saying municipal courts can't issue harsher punishments than state court for the same offenses. Joining us live in studio is Deep Singh Badesha. He's a member of the Democrat Socialists of America. Deep, why do Democrats like crime so much?
What a segue. So quick on my background. So actually I started off my legal career after I went to law school clerking at the Colorado Supreme Court. So I actually clerked for Justice Hart, who was absent during this. You heard her that she's retiring. I think you can make a lot of arguments about what is the best way to deter crime, right? What can you do at the community level? What can you do at the state level? This case that I was reading is really like an operational issue, right? It's like, how could muni courts have a higher level than a state court offense? And it's an operational conflict, which I understand. Me as a practicing attorney, I have defended people for state charges, and I have helped defend people on muni charges. I would say muni courts are like the wild, wild west. I once showed up, and I remember the city attorney who was bringing the muni offense went there, and there was like 10 defendants, and the judge was reading off all these cases the muni city attorney had to prosecute that day. And I was like, you can't do this. Like, there's 10 of us, right? So what they do is they pull everybody in the hallway, and they're just handing out plea deals left and right. So I will say muni courts are a real wild, wild west. I don't think they have the resources. I don't think they're well funded. I mean, a lot of muni prosecutors across the state have had a lot of issues, and I think that's something to look at. So I think this is the right step to do, just because operationally it's a dangerous place. And again, I think the ways we can have safe, effective communities is to make sure people aren't exploited, so they don't need to turn to crime. And I would say the people who are committing the most crimes are the people, or the oligarchs who are stealing from the American public. And who's going to prosecute them?
George Brockler, any response to Deep here?
Yeah, listen, first off, I think that everybody, regardless of socioeconomic background, station in life, ought to be subject to the law uniformly, at least in terms of being held accountable for it. Whether that turns into a specific sentence or not is a little bit different, because
including
judges
our great friend Tina Peters.
That's exactly right. But well, listen, I wrote about that, and we can talk about that, but did she commit a crime? Absolutely, she committed a crime. Should she serve about the same sentence as a dude who drove a truck into a bunch of people and blew them up and caught a lot of others on fire? I don't think so. But let's say this. One thing that Deep said, hold on. One thing that Deep said got my attention, and that was, we want to create a community where people don't need to commit crimes. Let's be crystal clear. Committing a crime is a choice. It is not done out of necessity. There's this mythical case of like, well, what happens when someone's stealing to feed their family? I've only been doing this 31 years. I have never, ever, never come across a case where an individual has been stroked a ticket or arrested or brought to court for stealing to feed their family. Not a single time. I jumped on a misdemeanor case about 2 weeks ago that ended up getting continued because I like to be in the courtroom with my folks. And it was a theft case, and it was a dude who stole sunglasses out of Sunglasses Hut. And that, more than anything else, is the kind of crime that we see when it's theft. So this idea that, hey, people are stealing out of need, nonsense.
Well, one, I would like to hear your comments about muni courts. I mean, you're a district attorney, so I feel like district attorneys have a different level of prosecutors. Like, I know what kind of attorneys go to the district attorney's office, and I've seen the ones that end up as muni prosecutors, right? It's very different, so I wonder if you have any opinion there. But going back to the truck driving example, right? So we have large companies, right, like Amazon, Walmart. They are making these drivers be like, hey, you have to get from Cheyenne to Pueblo in 3 hours, no breaks, right? So these companies...
And by no breaks, you mean no time off, not no breaks like this driver, where he burnt his out.
So these large corporations, right, in order to seek profit, they are putting the lives of the public and their drivers in danger by saying, hey, you need to make our bottom line. You need to make as much profit as possible for us. And listen, we have actuaries. We have insurance companies. We're running the numbers. 2% of you, 5% of you, yeah, you're going to get a crash. But because everybody else is going to be speeding, we're going to increase our profits 10%, and, we'll pay any fines. So at what point are we going to also hold the corporations responsible who are pushing these type of things?
Well, I'm certain that there are lawsuits out there, civil and otherwise, against this trucking company and everything else. In terms of any criminal liability, look, I'd be happy to go down that road and look for it, but what I don't want to hear are people that try to explain away the criminal culpability of the driver who is ultimately the killer here, because some other employer or some other person may have helped to influence their decisions, short of a conspiracy or a solicitation or even as an accessory, and none of that applies here. This dude is 100% on the hook for burning out his truck's brakes, and he's 100% responsible for the death and maiming of those other people. The part that frustrated me wasn't that, hey, we didn't go after the corporate people. It's that without waiting for judicial intervention, which was coming, by the way, in the form of a reconsideration and some other things, the governor jumped in with both feet, and he simply announced, I'm going to give a sentence that he later, in my opinion, misled the state by saying this is a sentence consistent with others who have done similar behavior. Spoiler alert. There is nobody who has done anything like this. There is no other truck driver who is good for killing 4 people and setting 4 or 5 others on fire. So that just didn't make sense to me. But I think what you're trying to highlight is let's not focus on the guy that killed the people. Let's focus on the corporation that put him in a position to kill people. I disagree.
But to be fair, have either of us ever had to say no to Kim Kardashian?
What? I don't even.
What? Deep, you know what that reference is. Come on, man.
Okay, now I get it, because Kim Kardashian does like pardon reform.
Well, she called Jared Polis on that one.
I mean, we should probably.
Jeff,
money in politics is the root of all evil. The fact that rich people and all these people with influence have an outsized, Kim Kardashian was able to help appoint people to Trump's administration because of the influence she had. But Brock,
that's because it's hard to say no to her.
George,
even a gay man can't say no to her.
Again, I am curious though on your opinions about muni prosecution and sort of what you see there. I've seen a lot of sloppy work and a lot of overburdened attorneys, and it doesn't seem like the most efficient system versus what type of law you do, which is at the district level.
Well, it's different, obviously, because they're dealing with a volume of cases that is just incredibly oppressive in terms of trying to have an efficient sense of justice. But they're also smaller, and the consequences are smaller. The outcomes are smaller. But I got to tell you, man, these are quality prosecutors. We hire people out of Aurora, Denver. Just this year, we've hired people out of Aurora Muni, Denver Muni, and they do great work for us because it's just a different environment. But I am concerned that we're moving towards an environment where municipalities and, frankly, states at the federal level are becoming less relevant, that everything is about a unit government that makes all of these decisions, and we're wiping away any benefit to living in a certain locality. We're just wiping it out.
Sort of like the commander-in-chief having a federal pardon for a state crime. That's part of the same kind of melding of all pardons in government and prosecution.
I think that doesn't apply at all, but I will say this. I agree with you. I think it is ridiculous to conceive of the federal government stepping in to pardon or exculpate somebody on a state conviction. I agree with you that that's a problem. But my bigger concern is, like with the state of Colorado, is we're all of a sudden wiping away the lines that make a difference between where you choose to live. We're going to say things like, hey, Denver believes in ADUs in every backyard, no matter what you thought you were buying into for a community. Well, you know what? Let's apply that to the state of Colorado. Let's wipe away what Elbert County wants to do.
But wouldn't that be like a very libertarian thing that you can do whatever you want with your land? Like, hey, you own, 10 acres in Douglas County. Your neighbors can't even see you. You could build a barn that's also an ADU. I don't understand why that would be a problem.
Yeah, it's an easy fallback if you don't consider that part of the idea of freedom is that you have the ability to contract for certain things that you recognize are limitations on your own behavior and others. So when you sign up to join into a certain community, you agree, I'm not going to paint my house neon pink and screw around with all the other relative values of the houses around me. You make that agreement. The state has stepped in and said, Deep, you're not smart enough to be able to agree to such a thing. We don't care what you think about where you want to live. We know what's best. So we're going to arm everybody who could ever buy a house around you to do whatever crazy-ass thing that they want to do to their property, independent of the impact it would have on you. That's not libertarian. That's anarchy.
I mean, to a certain extent, it's your private land. You should be able to do whatever you want, right? Like the idea that just because you buy something, you've entered into this contract, right? I think this is a frustrating thing that's happening across the way is if you buy a car, say you buy a car from Ford or you buy a car from Toyota, imagine when you buy that car, you get in that car and you're driving it for 3 months and eventually like, hey, your subscription for radio has run out. You now need to start paying Ford $5 a month, $10 a month in order to have radio in your car, right? And you're like, oh, well, that's a contract, with that company and that's how it works, right? Or you could be like, that's ridiculous. Right? Like this car came with functionality and I should be able to use all the functionality of this car. I bought this piece of land. If I would like to build an ADU or a barn or, a 3-story house in my 10-acre lot in Douglas County, I should be able to. So I don't think like you can contract around the freedoms of your own property in that way, which is crazy that a socialist here is defending this with Republican and the Brockler party. As we have noted, George Brockler exists outside the political spectrum.
What you're saying is you act like it's a surprise. Like I bought this property and then all of a sudden somebody showed up the next day after I closed on it and said, here are all the limitations on how you can use the property. That's nonsense. People buy property understanding the limitations on them before they close. That's why they buy in a certain community and a certain neighborhood. And if you strip away the ability to contract for certain things you like and against things you don't, that's the limitation.
It's not contracting, right? It's like municipal ordinances and it's zoning, right? It's like the county of Douglas County has these zoning provisions where like your road has to be at least 6 feet wide or your driveway has to be 8 feet wide, right? So it's like it is this like red tape that's happening, and this is hilarious that we've gone from muni level ordinations to which is
no, I feel like I'm in a law classroom, but
this is interesting in terms of the preemption that the Supreme Court talked about, right? They essentially said the state preempts because one of those 3 reasons, muni codes, right?
Right.
Could this be another thing where the state land use codes preempts muni codes?
That's a good question.
So I mean, we could see us going in that direction. It's going to be fascinating. Again, Justice Hart is stepping down, so I think Jared Polis is probably going to get another pick here on the Colorado Supreme Court. It'll be fascinating what direction we see that court go.
George, I'll give you the final word. You've been great with your time today, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, just to use Deep's car analogy, it's not about the radio in there. One of the most heavily regulated areas of industry are automobiles. You couldn't just have any car you want. And Deep, when you buy that car, you know right away all the limitations of how it can be used. Like, I can't drive it through someone's yard. I can't drive it through the lobby of a hotel. And what you're saying is, hey, once you buy that car, you should be able to do anything and everything you want with it. And that's how you apply it to property. I just don't think that leads to freedom. That's just anarchy.
George Brockler, Judicial District 23 District Attorney, thanks for taking time this morning to give us analysis on the Supreme Court ruling yesterday.
I'll see you on X, George.
Yeah, those two.
Well, not this month. Not this month, buddy. I deleted the app for December.
That's why I don't see you at 2
Did
a.m.
you?
anymore.
You deleted
That's
the
right.
app for December, huh?
Okay, come on, Blue
did.
Sky.
I'll see you guys.
Thank you, George Brockler. By the way, today is Festivus.
Welcome, newcomers. The tradition of Festivus begins with the airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now, you're going to hear about it.
Feel free to give us a call. Share your grievances with Deep and I. The debate's going to be hot today. We're just kicking it off. George Brockler, Lily Tang Williams is going to join us in the 9 o'clock hour. Plus, we'll talk Jeanette Visquera, Trump's golden fleet of boats. So much to cover, Tina Peters, everything else. So it's going to be a really fun show today. You're not going to want to miss it. All right, let's talk Gyrie's, folks. There's Gyrie's all over the Denver metro area. My wife and I had a fantastic experience at the Gyrie's location in Parker. We've been talking about updating our home for a while, particularly our blinds. And we have in the past kind of purchased these cheap blinds online, and then the string breaks, and it kind of only goes halfway up on one side, and got frustrated with it. So we went to the Gyrie's location in Parker, sat down with their professional designer, and showed us an incredible selection of Hunter Douglas custom blinds, shades, and shutters. I was a little overwhelmed at first because I've never worked with a designer pro, but she answered a lot of questions for us, walked us through everything, and helped us find the perfect options to enhance the look and functionality of our home. In fact, we're going back for seconds now, getting another room done. So whether your curtains are clashing or you just want a fresh look, Gyrie's has the solutions for you. They're designers or the experts and can help you with everything from window treatments to full room decor. Here's the best part. They offer a personalized in-home consultation. They'll come directly to you, so you can get the same expert advice right in your own home. Get started today. Visit Gyrie's.com to schedule your in-home consultation. That's GUIRYS.com, GUIRYS.com. Go see the great people at Gyrie's. You'll be sure to thank me.
Until you pin me, George, Festivus is not over.
Please, somebody stop this.
Let's rumble!
It's time for the airing of grievances, and Deep and I are going to pin each other. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show, Denver's News Talk, 710 KNUS. Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Billy's out today, enjoying a much-needed break. He'll be back in January. Sitting in studio with me is a socialist.
Democratic Socialist.
Democrat Socialist of America. What is they're all communists. What is the difference?
There's a difference between democratic socialism and communism.
You guys all want the government. You want to control the means of production.
The thing about American politics that's so fascinating is because our parties are like not ideological, they really don't believe in much, right? So when you're in European countries or Asian countries, there's like 17 different parties and they're much more ideological. Here you have Republicans like Donald Trump who, believe in ownership of private companies. They believe in mass officers arresting people in the middle of the street. They believe in getting bribes, right? And then you have Democratic Socialists like Zohran Mamdani saying he's going to cut 50% of the red tape for small businesses and 50% of the fines for small businesses in New York City.
After he taxes you into the ground.
He's not taxing small businesses. He's taxing the billionaires in New York City, right? It's like this fascinating juxtaposition is like a lot of people don't run on ideology, right? They run on blue team versus red team. And I don't think it's left versus right. I do honestly believe it's the bottom versus the top.
Many Christmases ago, I went to buy a doll for my son. I reached for the last one they had, but so did another man. As I rained blows upon him, I realized there had to be another way.
What happened to the doll?
It was destroyed. But out of that, a new holiday was born. A Festivus for the rest of us.
December 23rd, it's officially Festivus. We want you to air your grievances right, left, or center. Give us a call, 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law Text line at 720-819-5115. Let's go to Marcus in Aurora. Good morning, Marcus. You're on with Jeff and Deep.
Good morning, guys. Deep, my friend is my enemy. You talk about this socialism, Venezuela, Cuba. We could talk about Russia, China, New York City. What are you doing in Colorado? And another thing, you guys belong to the Democratic Party, believe it or not. And so why aren't you down in New York helping them out?
Well, I grew up in Colorado, so I moved to Colorado Springs when I was like 8 months old. So my parents were small business owners, actually. Owned a small mom-and-pop liquor store in Colorado Springs. So, love this state, believe in this state.
They're capitalists, right?
I think you can believe in free markets and small business without believing in this late-stage capitalism where you have to put profits above the environment, profits above children,
That's
profits
not
above
true.
healthcare.
They
The
put
question
you
I
through
have
school.
for you is, so you're saying democratic socialism is really bad. We just heard from our good friend George Brockler, who said that, Republicans and conservatives believe that if you own land, that you cannot build an ADU in your backyard for your mother-in-law. That sounds like a lot of government control to me. That you
that
get to
sounds
decide.
like the Democrats, Polis did that. The Democrats been around here a long time. That's our zoning laws.
No, that seems like a conservative playbook, right? So the form of democratic socialism that I believe in, right, is to have a working class republic where the government is answering to the vast majority of people and the needs of those people, right? And where markets work, they will work. And when you need government intervention to protect, you will have the government intervention to protect. What we're seeing now isn't the most oppressive forces that you see in your life are no longer the government. If you're a minority, Trump's government has mass police officers kidnapping you from streets, of course. But
give me a break.
They do. That's happening. I don't know what, Marcus. You live in Aurora, so thank you for voting and turning Aurora blue. By the way, Marcus, we really appreciate that. Sorry, Daniel Jurinsky.
I didn't vote blue. We got good people up there.
Yeah. Goodbye, Daniel Jurinsky.
She was great.
She was so fantastic that she lost. But wait,
why do you think?
She was right.
Why do you think she lost? By the way.
I feel like the type of politics that she was running in Aurora just didn't vibe with it. I've known Mike Kaufman for probably over a decade now. Yeah. And Mike Kaufman
a good man that started up a lot of good things.
So
on the homeless
here's
too.
The thing about Mike Kaufman, I think that's fascinating that the Republicans could take out of the playbook. He is too old to run for governor, to run for U.S. Senate. But one person...
And you're too young.
One person I think I've been always worried about as a Democratic strategist, that someone who could win in this new Colorado is someone like Mike Hoffman. Mike Hoffman has a great friendship with a lot of the immigrant communities that represent Aurora, right? So like whether it's the Sikh temple or the Hindu temple or even the mosques there, whether it's the Ethiopian community, the Eritrean community, the Korean community, right? Like Mike Hoffman has always gone out of his way to meet with those communities, to talk to those small businesses and to talk about, hey, what is it you need from that? Mm-hmm. That is a type of Aurora Republicanism that could work. Daniel Durinsky was the opposite, right? Daniel Durinsky's like, no immigrants allowed in Aurora. When you have a city,
no immigrants. She was against the Venezuelan gangs torturing people.
She was very hostile. She had these talking points against that. And the thing is, like, Aurora again could have been a testing ground for like a new kind of Republican Party, but you saw instead of going the direction of like a Mike Hoffman, they went in the direction of a Daniel Durinsky, and the voters kicked her out.
Well, and the city got safer.
That's not true.
City got safer.
That's what the news says. Talk to the people. We haven't changed.
So,
but I mean, she did lose an election.
So you've seen this across the board. Like, crime has reduced across the board in America. We had COVID highs.
No, in Aurora, crime decreased, stolen cars, everything. Explain that then.
Crime increased, you said?
Decreased.
Yeah. Well, I think Governor Jared Polis, of course, and Attorney General Phil Weiser.
Phil Weiser, Jared Polis.
He's not.
I mean, you're trying to give us some credit and some not credit. I'm trying to beg you here.
Weiser, after the third car theft, Weiser finally got angry enough.
What I believe in is the role of government should be to advocate for its populace, right? What we have in America right now is the rich have essentially bought our politicians, have bought both parties through massive donations, through massive amounts of corruption. And democratic socialism believes that we have to get money out of politics, that corporations can't determine
that's true,
your life.
But it's the lobbyists. Yep. The lobbyists control both parties. You get rid of the lobbyists, we won't have this problem.
Well, you got to get rid of money in politics. And that is the thing that I think a lot of people agree with.
It's speech.
And then they say it's speech, right? I mean, we have limits on speech in this country, right? You can't shout
but
fire.
Is that the role of government? Because that's not what the Constitution says. The role of government is to secure the rights.
I think there
people,
is
not to advocate on their behalf or not to provide for them.
So the U.S. Supreme Court, there's a lot of jurisprudence here about competing interests, right? Yeah. Security versus liberty, competing interests, right? Here you obviously have free speech / money in politics versus an effective government, right? A non-corrupt government. And even if your government is small, it can be very, very corrupt. Look at Florida, for example. And these are competing interests so that you'd be like, listen, freedom of speech is important.
The people voted for what they wanted. That is not corrupted.
I would say, there's this good line about a lot of the big decisions have been made before you. So, like, say you're driving to work today, Marcus, or anyone who's listening to the show, you're driving today, and you're like, hey, I have full control over to take a left or take a right or go straight, right? But those roads were laid out a long time before you made those decisions, right? And I feel like that's what's happened to our politics, right? You have to choose between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. You have to choose between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, as if there's not hundreds of other choices that we could be making there because of the money in politics issue.
Well, Republicans had a primary.
Did they have a primary? We should call up Nikki Haley.
You guys were anointing Kamala Harris over
Donald
there.
Trump was anointed out. We'll see when Donald Trump wants third term.
His own vice president went after him in a primary and tried to stop him, and the voters still. Republicans had a primary. We had a debate. We had a discussion. You guys had this anointing of Kamala Harris. By the way,
Joe Biden should have dropped out, right? Like, Joe Biden and John Hickenlooper both are far too old, and we're gonna run into the same problem.
He just had a kid at 70. It's
crazy.
He's got a youthfulness that is unmatched, except for Donald Trump.
And the fact that the Democratic Party has somehow become the party of the gerontocracy, right? We have like these 80-year-olds running for office, 70-year-olds running for office, and then I look at Turning Point USA, I get worried. I'm like, listen. If Democrats aren't going to offer real solutions to make people's lives better, the the far right populism that's like kind of soaked in, I would say, like white supremacy and Christian nationalism, that's going to take a hold.
Oh, that's not true. That's a big lie. There's a lot of gay white people out there that are conservative, black, Mexican, Oriental, Indian. That's a big lie.
I don't think it's a big lie. I think if you just listen to what J.D. Vance says and what Erica Kirk says, folks like Nick Fuentes.
You think J.D. Vance promotes white supremacy?
I would say what you hear J.D. Vance in terms of articulate against immigrants, what he wants his vision of this country to be. It's fascinating. J.D. Vance is actually married to a Hindu woman.
Yeah.
And he went publicly and said, I hope she converts to my religion, which is just... Right. And fascinating religion, like fascinating marriage that he must be having.
That's not white supremacy.
I would say if you are trying to advocate that your country follows a certain religion, that's un-American.
Ooh, the debate will continue. Marcus, thanks so much for the call. Deep Singh Badesha, Democrat Socialists of America, live in studio. It's also Festivus. So you can join the conversation by airing your grievances. We'll continue. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show, Denver's news talk leader, 710 KNUS.
Hey! Happy Festivus, everyone!